Well, hello again. Here we are. We're going to talk more about the process now of technology and social impact assessment. And we're going to do that by carrying forward and giving more detail about what this grassroots group called Save the Valley did. You know, they got the federal government to put some money up to get this impact assessment done. And how did it occur? Well, as you'll see from the diagram here, what the Ohio River Basin region is. And you'll see that it's very blessed with coal. There's the Eastern Interior Coal Province and the Appalachian Coal Province. So mining is a big event here. And so you'll also notice that there are several states involved: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Kentucky. So what we did was we got land-grant universities like University of Illinois Chicago Circle Campus, University of Illinois down Champaign-Urbana. We had Ohio State University. We had University of Pittsburgh. We had University of West Virginia, University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, Indiana University, and Purdue. And we formed what you might call a core team. There was a faculty person from each of those schools that created a core team, which was the management team for carrying out this impact assessment. And it worked very well, frankly. And it was because we had these universities involved, which if you were to look at the talent and the number of, the degree of outreach those have through various energy-related networks, not only within this region, but the country and the world, you couldn't have picked a better group to work with. And we used the water resource research centers, which are located at each of the land-grant colleges, as a network to begin pulling this team together. Well, who was on the team? Well, obviously we had some engineers. We had environmental engineers. We had a lawyer, a law professor from University of West Virginia. We had a public health person from the University of Pittsburgh. From Lexington, the University of Kentucky, we had a sociologist. University of Louisville, we had an environmentalist expert. I came in from Purdue as the nuclear person. University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, we had a civil engineering person, Jim Stuckel, who was designated as the chairman of the core team and kind of the manager of the whole project. And then we had energy experts out of the University of Chicago. So we had health, we had law, we had sociology, we had from Indiana University public and environmental affairs people, public administration folks. So you can see we pretty well covered the gamut. And then out of that, then we held monthly meetings where we discussed how we were doing with our assessment process. And if there were research projects we needed to have accomplished to get the data that we needed, then we would contract those out either to people at the universities or to outside firms. Like there was a firm in California that it was excellent with regard to transport of pollutants in the atmosphere because they had a good meteorological team. So we had a contract with them. Now, what else was new here besides GWIS? There's a bunch of people, and they're just doing a research project. Well, our meetings that we had monthly, we allowed others to come in and sit there. We had utility people who had a major interest in this because this was affecting their decision-making as to how they were going to build their plants and what they were going to do. And the citizenry could come and sit in too. We had people that came in quite regularly, and they were allowed to to sit around. We were around, let's say, a table, and they were able to sit in chairs and the like nearby. And there was times for them, we'd stop and say, well, what do you think? What's your reaction? And so on. So what we tried to do was manage the research needs and the way we were going to focus and structure the technology assessment. And we had the public there and the utilities there so that as they saw what we were doing, they could make inputs so that the data we acquired would be of interest to them as people, social impact assessment stuff. And the utilities were there so they could make sure that they were a stakeholder that was not going to be ignored, and they could make their input. And as a consequence, this kind of stew, if you want to call it that, of people and ideas and direction was able to go forward in a rather really unique way, and from my point of view, very effective way. It can't always be done this way because it costs money. This was a $2 million project by the time it all got finished. But you do the best you can with what you got. And of course, the way media is today and social communications, you can do an awful lot that we didn't have available to us back in the 70s. Now, to further this along so that we were not just off by ourselves doing our thing as a bunch of college professors, what we did was we had like quarterly meetings where we would get an auditorium and we would make presentations, and people were in the auditorium, they could ask questions. Our guys would get up, I'd get up and I'd say, well, here's what we're doing with regard to the nuclear energy side of the development of energy capability, electrical generation of energy in the Ohio River Basin. These are the kinds of studies we're doing. This is the direction these studies are going in. This is some of the preliminary data. Is this the kind of thing you want to see? Is this going to be helpful? And so on. And then the people could respond and they could say yes, no, whatever. So there was a highly integrated study done with lots of feedback. People are intimately involved. They're not feeling left out, and they feel that they have something to say. The quality of your impact assessment, the quality of your analysis part of the 3 A's is going to be much better, and when the results are finally in, they'll be more readily accepted, and the chances of real action, the third A, being taken is going to be greatly enhanced, as you might expect. That's how we were organized, and this went on for several years, actually. And there were 2 major reports. There was a interim report, kind of after the first year or so, as to here's where we are, here's what we see, and so people could have this, they could look at it, they could comment on it to make a mid-course correction if necessary, or at least try to convince us that a mid-course correction was possible. Nobody needed to feel left out at all in our process, which, again, I thought was good. And the thing that was fascinating and wonderful, really, was the fact that there were some people who were going to be grossly hurt, houses lost that they had cherished and worked on along the riverbanks because of the utility movement. The utility and those people were sitting side by side. They were both speaking. It was very civilized. It worked out very well. And so that's kind of how we did that impact assessment. And you could see the technology and the social side of it were integrated. It wasn't first we do one, then we do the other. Well, next time we get together, I'll show you some of the results of the technology assessment and to give you an idea of the kinds of things that people could respond to. It's just a sampling. And I'm going to give you the website you can go to, and you could get the total report, and we'll go from there. So see you shortly, and we'll look at the data.